Entangled Pairs. I draw commonplace objects and reduce them to vessels of ink and energy, the purpose of which is to stop the mind. I've been doing this since 1989 through a project called 10,000 Things That Breathe. In my work, I employ both realism and conceptualism, but I subvert their traditional applications. Instead of using realism to depict objects, I use it mainly as a strategy for smuggling something else, a sense of presence that strips away the object's name and everyday purpose. Meanwhile, conceptualism manifests as frameworks that deliberately undermine language, meaning, narratives, the staples of conceptualism. When the familiar names and functions of objects and their expected meanings and narratives fall away, we are left with a void, emptiness, which is a space of pure possibility, a clean slate where new ways of seeing can emerge and where reality can be experienced more directly. The project you have before you sets 10,000 things that breathe within the framework of quantum entanglement. How did this project come about? In 2020, at the start of the COVID pandemic, like many of you, I was quarantined in a studio filled with 10,000 things. One of the first things I had to do was to organize and clean up. During my cleanup, I discovered leftover paper fragments, remnants from when I had cut larger sheets down to size for previous artworks. When set side by side, the two paper fragments looked like one whole sheet, roughly 8 by 10 inches. So you have two paper fragments, a pair, making a whole. That one whole sheet, when split, constitutes a pair. During quarantine, I also finally had the time to finish reading a book on quantum entanglement. So, what is quantum entanglement? Quantum entanglement is that mysterious phenomenon where entangled particles remain connected regardless of distance. Imagine you have two coins that are magically connected. When you flip these coins, they always land in a way that's perfectly related to each other, no matter how far apart they are. For example, if one coin lands on heads, the other will always land on tails. If you flip one coin and it's heads, you instantly know, even without looking at it, that the other is tails. The weird part is, this happens instantly, even if the coins are on opposite sides of the universe. The coins don't decide their state until you look at one of them. It's as if the coins are communicating faster than the speed of light, which is impossible. This is similar to how quantum entanglement works with fundamental particles instead of coins. For this project, instead of particles, I use drawings. The pandemic underscored the need for connection and collaboration. So I figured I could create pairs of drawings and split them for exhibition in two geographically distant spaces, thereby entangling galleries and the people who come to them. But first, I needed a pairing rule. I came up with one that was ridiculously simple. Two drawings are paired when one follows the other. I gathered my objects, set to work, and by 2022, when people were beginning to return to work and we were nearing the end of quarantine, I had completed 50 pairs. The drawings on these walls have their pairs currently showing a continent away in Silverlens Manila. As you view these works, consider their counterparts being viewed simultaneously across the ocean, and how your experience becomes part of this art project. Two distant galleries and the two peoples viewing the works in them are now entangled in ways that one could only try to fathom. You and I are now entangled. Thank you for taking part in this project.